It is September 3rd, and that means that we have football that matters coming up tomorrow. What is up, everyone? It is Josh Butts here with no buts about it. Chus is I hate these boxes. Left, right. He's on one of the sides of me. But we have entered the Burr months, and the Burr months are my favorite months because we have football in the Burr months. September, October, November, December, which you might be thinking, December is a bit different than the other Burr months, but December has Christmas. So still a great month.
And then there's January.
Yeah, then January just ruins it all with the re. My birthday's in February, but people sometimes mispronounce that as February because it's such a great month that they've got to get the Burr in there. So the Burr months are the goated months. Sorry if you're a summer fan. Summer's all right, but I think you're lying if you're saying you enjoy the 90-degree heat and 80% humidity. The fall, crisp air, bonfires.
I actually do. I actually
s'mores.
Really enjoy hot. I was born in the summer. I enjoy being out in the sun.
You like the humidity though?
I do. Depends. Depends on how high the humidity is.
I just picture the color changing leaves, apple cider, football on TV.
The thing that I want to put on record here is September and October are fun. I really like these months. These are some cool months here. Chilly, I like the sweater weather. I do. And then you get into November and it's Thanksgiving's okay. December, Christmas, holidays, New Year's, that's awesome. And then nothing. It's just January, and I know your birthday's in February, but there's nothing really to look forward to. If your team's not in the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter.
January is not a Burr month.
Yeah, it sucks. January's a boom. I don't like January. I'm sorry for all the January lovers out there, but other than Martin Luther King Day, I mean, there's just really not a whole lot happening in the month of January. And then February, Valentine's Day is just, it's just kind of there. And then March actually has cool sports going on because of March Madness and stuff. Because if your team's not in the Super Bowl in February, everything else, MLB's not in season yet. NHL's mid-season, NBA's mid-season. I don't know. And then it's just the whenever the Burr months come up, I just anticipate what's to come in 5 months, which is just freezing cold, snowy weather and wishing that it was hot out, and that's just how it's gonna go. So I'm gonna miss summer. I'm gonna miss summer.
Live in the moment.
Yeah, but unfortunately, those summer months only last 2 months, and then freaking winter lasts forever. Because come April, it's supposed to be 50 degrees, but no, it always ends up being 35 degrees and snow until the end. And then this year, at the end of the freaking month of May, in Pittsburgh, it was 60 degrees. It was Memorial Day weekend and it was 60 degrees. I was go away. And now it's cold again. I'm we got robbed. We got robbed.
I didn't realize this was such a touchy subject for you.
I don't want to talk about it. I
really,
like my
you do
warm
want to
weather.
talk about it.
I want to, from May until August, I just want it to be 70 to 95. And then September, it can drop down to below 70. But if you have May where it's just low 70s, high 60s the entire time, or the third coldest day of all time on record in the city of Pittsburgh, the weekend of Memorial Day, I'm both that up.
We have to move on.
Okay, fine. Sure. What do you want to talk about?
Well, so we're not ignoring the Micah Parsons thing. We're just not going to talk about it. And here are my reasons why. So the Micah Parsons trade happened last week when we had to cancel our full show. And I feel like if we talk about it, we're just going to say a bunch of stuff that you already know. And it's going to be a waste of your time. And it's going to be a waste of our time. And we've got our NFL division picks to get to here for the season since the league does kick off tomorrow. So we're not ignoring that it happened. There's just nothing really new about it. And even the stuff that is new is kind of just speculation regarding his injury that Jerry Jones might have known about or might not have known about. So it's kind of just like we're just going to move on from that. And
Well,
then
I was gonna ask before we
okay.
move on from it though, like, do you think it's gonna be beneficial for the Green Bay Packers going into the season, or do you think it's just nothing?
I mean,
Like
yeah,
it's
he's a top 5 player. So I mean, adding him is going to
do you
improve everything,
think
I think.
do you think the Packers will like be monster team this year though?
I think they could be. I believe I read a stat that Brett Favre won his Super Bowl when he was 27. Aaron Rodgers won his Super Bowl when he was 27. Jordan Love is 27 this year. So I don't know
Well, maybe
how much weight you want to put into that, but there's a little fun fact for you if it's true. um,
fair enough.
we got some other stuff I want to quickly address as well. Elijah Vera Tucker, much to Stan's dismay, has he's seeking a second opinion, but is believed to have had a torn tricep injury. He had this injury in 2022 in his other arm, so that would be not great. He's struggled with injuries his entire career, as Stan has mentioned many times on the show. Um, their depth chart also they don't have a lot there on the offensive line. Xavier Newman is backing up both the left guard and the right guard. So if he had to go in for Elijah Vera Tucker, they'd probably have to sign someone because they don't have anyone after that, unless Chuk's Corafor or Josh Myers moves into the backup guard position. But I think you'd still want to sign someone. Another quick thing to add is Jim Irsay, the late Colts owner, is being added to the Indianapolis Colts Ring of Honor. He passed away 2 months ago, I think. I don't know. Time flies, but he is being added to the Ring of Honor this Sunday. So that's kind of just a nice little thing that the Colts are doing. His daughters took over the team for him. Uh, by all accounts that I've heard, he was a great owner. Obviously, he struggled with addictions, mental illness. Everyone knows those stories, but everyone's got bad stuff in their closet. So he, seemed to be good with charity, and players seem to like him. So good for him. Good for the family. At least a way to honor him now that he's passed away. And then finally, Robert Woods. Chus mentioned this a few weeks ago or 2 weeks ago about the possibility of him being released. Well, he didn't get released, and then he requested he be released, I believe, and
Yeah.
now he's released. So, Chus, what's happening with Robert Woods? Do we think he's going to make it on another 53-man roster?
So no, he didn't make the 53 man roster. So as of last week, he was not on the roster. So technically, he had been cut along with some notable names like Beanie Bishop, which kind of disappointed me. I didn't really like that, and I think a lot of Steelers fans were really upset about the Beanie Bishop move. But our wide receiver room, despite being kind of limited in a solid possible wide receiver too, we do have a lot of decent wide receivers on top of DK Metcalf. We've talked about it over and over again on top of Roman Wilson and all these different wide receivers that we have. We didn't really have room for Robert Woods out there, and it didn't really seem like he was having a whole lot of production during the preseason, and he was kind of getting outshined a lot at camp by the other wide receivers in the depth room. And because of that, he ended up getting cut, not making the roster, but he got signed to the practice squad by the Steelers. So he was on the practice squad. So is Beanie Bishop. A lot of guys are they're there. They still exist. They're just on the practice squad. And Robert Woods did not like that. He said that if he doesn't play on the 53-man roster, he wanted to be released. So that's what the Steelers did. They released him because he didn't want to be on the practice squad, which more power to him. He's more than welcome, to move on. I mean, that's his choice. I hope he finds somewhere else that will utilize him. I just don't think we would have been able to really utilize him like I initially thought we were going to. I think, like I said, I think our depth chart, our depth room, whatever, is very deep when it comes to wide receivers that are decent. We don't have like two really great wide receivers. We have one really great wide receiver, but we have enough decent wide receivers to kind of, I guess, balance out the wide receiver 2 and 3 issue. But yeah, so am I upset about it? No, I was excited to see what he was going to do, but he is up there in age, so I kind of expected him to probably not have as much weight to him as he would have a couple of years ago, or to some of these other young wide receivers that are hungry and want to play. Not that Robert Woods isn't hungry and wants to play. It's just how it is sometimes. So I'm not surprised by this. I talked about it before on the show a couple weeks ago. So yeah, isn't that something? We've been talking about some stuff that has happened, and one of those things was that, and the other one we all got kind of crapped on for, which I'm surprised we weren't going to bring up. Which
I wasn't going to take. Are you talking about the Adam Thielen thing?
Yeah, I would like to bring up the Adam Thielen move.
Okay, you can.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting that we talked about it, and these hot takes, these hot takes were bad. We don't watch the Vikings. We don't watch football. Like, we don't know ball, right? Well, guess what? We do know ball. And just because my takes are bad doesn't mean that we're wrong, because we were right. We knew what we were talking about. And sure enough, Adam Thielen did, in fact, go back to the Vikings. Eat that. I really want you.
You got in more trouble for comparing the Vikings to the Packers.
I wasn't comparing them. I was the way that I was comparing them was, if you have Tyreek Hill in there, you're not going to have room for all your wide receivers, just like how the Packers don't have that much room for all their wide receivers. And if anything, that should fire them up, because then at that point, if I'm comparing them to their division rival, they should be mad. No, we shouldn't get Tyreek Hill. Exactly. That's the thought process. So good. I hope that frustrated them a little bit, if they're really that upset about it. So.
Okay. I wasn't gonna take a 2-week delayed victory lap, but okay,
yeah, I want to take a 2-week delayed victory lap, since we didn't get to do it last week. I want to take my victory lap now, heading into the season tomorrow. I'm sure all those Viking fans out there are fuming at the fact that No Buts About It actually got it right and said that we don't know ball. Well, we do know ball, and we're here right now to tell you that we do.
The Vikings fans like me. You're the one who made them mad. But
no, they don't. None of these football fans like me, apparently. I'm a Steelers fan, and I'll talk about something that happens on the Steelers, but somehow I'll talk about Robert Woods, and you'll clip that, and next thing you know, guess what? Oh, you're an idiot for thinking Robert Woods was going to get cut. Oh, he got cut. Yeah, he's gone. He's old. He's not on our wide receiver depth chart. He wasn't going to make it, and I'm kind of upset to an extent, but like, we have a lot of wide receivers. What are we going to do? But anytime that I make a Steelers video, I always get crapped on for that too. There's no middle road. Are there any fan bases out there that are nice to me? Probably not. No. So I probably shouldn't be a football fan. I should probably be a Canadian football fan or a soccer fan. I heard some of the teams in soccer across the countries are pretty fun to be fans of. So, and they're not mean. Actually, maybe they are mean. I don't really know. But
you've got a lot of pent up energy this week.
We missed the show last week. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. So it's just all coming out. Okay.
Well, I figured, you know what? I've been not toxic for a while, so I think it's time to bring it back, because these people I've been nice for too long. I just can't do this anymore. I can't. So anyway, we have to get into some touchy subjects today anyway with these division rankings, because I know there's going to be a lot of angry people that are going to be very upset about our picks, I imagine. So.
Well, let's see what we can do here. I'm trying to find photos of all the divisions, but I do have. Let's see where we can start here.
I have them already up. I just looked up NFL division standings.
Well, I know the divisions. I just want to have a visual for the people who may.
Well, that's what I know them too, but like I said, I want to. Oh, you want like a photo visual to throw them up?
Yeah. What do you have?
I just looked up NFL division standings just to see a visual. I know they're all 0-0, but I just want like a visual so that I can see them off the top of my head. Because sometimes these teams are like, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but sometimes in a division of a bunch of heavy hitters, you end up forgetting about like one or two teams, and you're like, oh yeah, they exist. Yeah, no, they're going to be last. So it's better to just have them right there.
Let's. We're not going to start with the AFC North. That's too simple. I'm going to start with the AFC South, just to really kind of just because I feel like this is going to be a hard one to kind of do. So I want to hear your thoughts first on the AFC South. We got the Indianapolis Colts, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Houston Texans, and the Tennessee Titans. So, what are your thoughts on this team?
Uh, the division, yeah. So I think this division is kind of just all over the place in terms of skill right now. Um, for my early predictions, and I'm going to stick with them from August 20th that I sent a couple weeks ago to our team or to our group chat, Josh. I'm going to have Houston winning this division here. I still think Houston is a very decent team, whether injuries have plagued them or CJ Stroud's sophomore slump last year. I still think that they're a pretty solid team, and not that any of these other teams aren't qualified enough to make a push. I just don't see it with some of these teams. Indianapolis has been kind of shaky in my opinion. Tennessee's got Cam Ward, who could really pan out to be one of the top quarterbacks of this draft class, but time will tell just because, Tennessee still has a lot of pieces to fix before we really see if Cam Ward's going to, sprout. This is probably not going to be the year that Tennessee really breaks out. They have a lot of holes. And Jacksonville, I feel like, is still kind of shaky at times. I mean, I like Hunter, and I like the wide receivers, and I like what they're doing, and I think their team's okay, but I just don't think they're there yet. So when it comes to division, I think Houston is going to win it. I think Jacksonville is going to be second. I think Indianapolis will take third. I think Tennessee will be fourth. And Jacksonville, though, I will say I have them as an outside three. So what that means is, for in case you don't understand, when there are four division winners and then there's three wild cards, there's three teams that are on the outside that usually say in the hunt, and I have the Jaguars as an outside three, meaning that they're probably going to be in the hunt somewhere, whether it's for a wild card spot or they're fighting for that division with Houston. So, like I said, I like Jacksonville. I just don't think they're there just yet. I think they could push out Houston, to be honest. I think they could, but that really will depend on injuries and how well CJ Stroud and the wide receivers and offense perform. So, but I'm going to take Houston winning this division. I need to see more from Indianapolis to really put them at a strong argument, and I still think Tennessee is way too it's too early to tell with them.
All right. So, kind of similar idea. I do think Houston will win this. I don't know that they'll be as good as what we've seen in the past. They've got some good players, but my concern is with that O line. They've kind of sort of, I don't really know what they're doing. They traded away their best O line player, and then they added back some players, but I mean Laramie Tunzel's just a hard guy to replace. Also, Joe Mixon, he's coming in with a injury that it seems to have an unknown timeline of when he's going to actually be able to play. So then you've got Nick Chubb after that. And Nick Chubb, great running back. We all love Nick Chubb. I don't know anyone who doesn't like Nick Chubb, but he is also coming off injury, very bad injury. So how is that going to work? And then if Nick Chubb and Joe Mixon can't get going, then does the rookie Woody Marks, does that fall onto him? Or is there someone else in that room that is able to step up and kind of, take that lead where it is needed? So, yeah, I do think Houston will win the division just by the sheer nature of their wide receiver room, and I think they still have a pretty good defense. I just don't know that they're going to be as dominant. The Indianapolis Colts, I think, are going, or no, excuse me, the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think, are going to get second. I don't know that they'll be a playoff contender team just because of how strong the AFC is this year. But I do think Jacksonville should be able to get second in this division with the additions that they've had. This is kind of a make or break year for Trevor Lawrence in some ways, just in my opinion, because they gave him that huge contract, and I don't think he's really lived up to it. I don't know that they would trade him or something after this year, but I think that this year should begin to give us an idea of whether he really is the future in Jacksonville. They've spent a lot of money on trying to help him out on his side of the ball, and it's been rough. It's been rough in Jacksonville for a long time, and I think New GM may have some new ideas for the next few seasons at quarterback if Trevor Lawrence doesn't start to pan out. Not that that's going to be an immediate change, like I said. So don't think I'm saying that Trevor Lawrence is going to be traded after this year if he doesn't pan out. Don't hear what I'm not saying. And then the Indianapolis Colts. So the Indianapolis Colts, they added a lot on the defensive side of the ball. Not a ton of shiny moves necessarily, but some moves that I think could be beneficial. They've brought in Travarius Ward, Cam Bynum, Xavier Howard. We'll see how he pans out, but they also added him. Wide receiver, they've always been pretty good there. Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs is poised for another good season. Alec Pierce, we'll see what happens with him, and A.D. Mitchell, but they've got some pretty good depth at wide receiver. Same thing with running back. I really like DJ Giddens, the guy they drafted this year. Obviously, you got Jonathan Taylor as well as the starter. That quarterback position, though, is the big question mark, though, in Indianapolis for me. Like, Daniel Jones just doesn't excite me at all. He doesn't bring anything to the table that makes me want to say, wow, we have Daniel Jones. He's starting in the NFL. He's missed 23% of his starts with injuries, I believe. So it's not great. And we're probably going to end up seeing Anthony Richardson again, which, okay, cool. Like, we've done this before. We've danced this dance before. But Shane Steichen is in a situation where I think he does need to, prove it. Like, because as we said at the top of the show, Jim has passed away. There's new ownership. This isn't Jim's guy anymore. This is Carly, I believe is her name. Jim's daughter's team now. Yeah. And she's in charge of the football operations, along with the rest of her sisters who are running other aspects of the team. But this could be if they cannot show her that they can make it into the playoffs, she might say, okay, we'll go find someone else. And then the Titans, I don't think they did enough. I love Brian Callahan. I think he could be a good head coach, but they drafted Cam Ward, but is that enough? Did they do anything else really?
Not yet.
Or are we just going to put everything on Cam Ward to kind of carry this team? And maybe he can. It's happened before, but I just don't think we're there right
now. So, and one of the questions that I wanted to ask is, since we might as well do our way too early playoff predictions then at that point too, where do you have Houston falling then? Do you have them at 1, 2, 3, or 4? Like seeds.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I got to think of the other.
I mean, we could wait. We can wait if you want. Why don't we do the AFC and then we'll talk playoffs after.
Okay.
Because I wrote out my whole thing and I sent it to you, and I'm just curious where you would put them on the 1, 2, 3, or 4. You don't have to say it yet. We'll wait. Yeah. But I just leave it thinking.
Well, let's move on to the AFC East. Another division that isn't super exciting, but is a bit better than what the Indianapolis Colts bring to the table. I'll go first for this one since you went first for the last one. I think that the Buffalo Bills are going to win this division. Hot take, I know. Got Josh Allen. They've just, ran this division for so long, and I don't think there's any reason to go away from that. James Cook had a great year last year. They've brought back some extensions that we've got. They've got Keon Coleman's coming into his second year. Should potentially be able to break out. I just think that team is poised to have a breakout with a lot of their young players, and then they've already got a ton of veterans who are already doing great. I mean, you got the reigning MVP on the team. There's no reason to doubt that the Buffalo Bills will win that division. Next up, I'm going to take the New England Patriots. I think that Mike Vrabel's going to get this team going. They've been kind of down a little bit. Last year, their defense was pretty good, but the rest of it was kind of rough. Drake May is going to come in as the starter in his second year. He's gotten some, experience in his rookie year, but he looked good. He looked good on the few starts that he got, and he's exciting to watch. He's a fun player to watch, and I think that that should excite Patriots fans. They've got Stephon Diggs, which older, but he's a good veteran presence in the locker room. The wide receiver room isn't the greatest after that, but I am excited about the addition of Trayvon Henderson for the New England Patriots. I think that he can do a lot of good, and then that defense should be good again as well. They did lose a few players. They released Jabril Peppers, but I do think that overall they're going to be fairly decent. And you still got Mike Vrabel coaching, and we know that Mike Vrabel can be a great coach, and he's back in New England where he played good portion of his career. Then I'm going to take the Dolphins just by them being the Dolphins, I guess. There's not really much to say there. I guess more so they will be better than the Jets. They won't do anything. They'll just have to be better than the Jets, and I don't think the Jets are going to be that good. Sorry, Stan, the Jet fan, but yeah, the Justin Fields just doesn't excite me. There's a lot of question marks about Aaron Glenn, first year head coach. What's he gonna do? What do we have in the offense anyway? Like there's talks of Breece Hall being traded. Braylon Allen needs to take a step forward. Yes, you have Garrett Wilson, but beyond that, it's kind of a lot of question marks as well. Who's going to be your prove it wide receiver 2? Is it Alan Lazard? Who is it? I mean, I know Stan doesn't like Alan Lazard. So if Alan Lazard is your wide receiver 2, okay. But what's that really say about it? Their defense, another team. This whole division has pretty good defenses across the board. But I'm going to go Bills, Patriots, Dolphins, Jets. So, Chus, what is your take here?
Yeah, I think that it's pretty consistent with yours, to be honest. I mean, going first, Buffalo, I mean, it goes without saying Buffalo is going to win this division. I mean, you can argue with a wall about it. I mean, the only way that Buffalo would probably not win this division is if like a bunch is similar to Houston in a sense, is if there's just a crap ton of injuries that happen. But even then, I feel like this team is good enough to even get past the injuries to probably still win this division. I like I said, I think the offense is still producing at a very high level. We counted them out a couple of times in the last couple of years, and somehow, some way, they ended up coming out bigger and better. I know last year I didn't think they were going to be that good. I remember the year before I thought that they were going to have a little bit of a fall off, and they have yet to have a fall off. And I mean, the one thing that they just can't get past is the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs, and I think that eventually that's going to come to a halt. But I think it's very exciting because I think Buffalo's in for yet another very good year, and I wouldn't be surprised if they make another very deep playoff run. So, shout out Buffalo over there. I'm really excited to see what you guys do. I never really, I always like to root for the NFC teams, but they're one of those AFC teams that I'm always, hopeful that will eventually get to that big game because I really like Josh Allen. But nonetheless, going off number 2, very similar pick to you as well, New England Patriots. I think that the Patriots, for me, honestly, I actually have very high hopes for them this season. I actually think they're going to barely miss playoffs as a wild card team. I think that they have a pretty decent defense, and I think it's just going to, roll into this season. I think Drake May is going to have, although it's his second year and there's that fear of the sophomore slump, I think that he's going to produce very well, regardless of just having, Stephon Diggs and, just like maybe a lesser known wide receiver room. But I think the running backs are going to work well together. I think that the offense is going to be good as well. I know I'm kind of living into the hype here just because a lot of people are saying that the Patriots are going to be pretty decent, but I genuinely think in this division, in this run, and I think with how the Patriots even looked last year towards the end, I think that they're going to be definitely a solid Division 2 team here. They're going to be second place all the way. Like I said, I don't think they're going to be I think they're going to be multiple games behind Buffalo. I don't think they're going to be fighting for the division come week 16 or 17, but I think that they're definitely going to be way above Miami and the Jets, at least by 2 games over Miami. So I'm putting them at like a 9-8, to be honest, but that's here nor there. Anyway, going forward, Miami, I'm putting it number 3 as well, but I think that this is a very interesting Miami, though, just because I feel like with the talks of Tyreek Hill being traded and this offense kind of having its ups and downs, Tua struggling in the cold and trading away Ramsey and bringing back Minka, who really didn't even want to play there to begin with many moons ago, who is now supposed to be, leading this defense as like a veteran presence. It's very odd down there in Miami right now. And honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if there's some like off-field issues that happen within this organization that just kind of cause like maybe Tyreek Hill to demand a trade or some weird stuff happen where you have injuries, you just have a lot of weird stuff happening down there that could cause like a blow up. And I hope that doesn't happen because I do like Miami and I think that they have a lot of promise on a team. But I feel like over the last couple of years, I've been high on them and they've slowly just kind of petered off a little bit. And I don't think this year is any different. I think they're slowly petering off as we've talked about. They have now fallen to third place, where last year and the year before we've talked about them as a second place contender with the possibility of even beating out the Buffalo Bills at one point. I don't even think they're going to get close to the division this year. Like I just can't see it. So I'm putting them at 3. But to be honest, I wouldn't even be surprised if they fall to 4. And I know that's crazy because I know me and I would strongly agree that the Jets are going to be 4th. But if some weird stuff happens and one injury, like a Tua injury, happens again, and a Tyreek Hill and a Tyreek Hill demands a trade because he wants to move forward and play somewhere else on a contender, I honestly think that this team could really fall below like 5 wins, and then next thing you know, the Jets take over by 1 win. But I still put the Jets at 4. I don't think that there's enough there for me to say strongly that this team is going to be good. I think their defense is okay. I think their secondary, I think, is still ranked pretty high. Um, they have a lot of weird depth with like running backs and stuff. And Justin Fields, although had a really good stint in Pittsburgh, it's a new offense that he's running with. Will he be able to produce the same numbers? Who knows? Even with the Steelers, though, he only had like a couple big games. The other games were pretty consistent with how the other quarterbacks have been doing, with a lot of rushing numbers and a lot less passing numbers. You go and you look back, he would throw like 145 yards. Like I remember in the first game of the season against the Falcons, he only threw like 130 yards or so, and it was a lot of running and it was more defense than offense. So if he has to lean a lot more on the defense, that's going to cause the Jets to struggle a little bit this season because Pittsburgh's defense in comparison to the Jets defense are very much apples and oranges. And yeah, I mean, I think Justin Fields will have games where he's going to look stellar, but I think there's going to be some games where he's going to look a little worse for wear. And I think in a division with teams like the Patriots, who have a decent defense, as well as the Buffalo Bills, who may not have the strongest defense, but have a very high powered offense, I just don't see them keeping up this year. But it'll be interesting to see what this Justin Fields experiment looks like going forth. And like I said, I think they could have the upside of popping up to 3rd, but they're not making it to 2nd. And I most likely will see them in 4th. So sorry, Stan, I'm a little bit more optimistic than Josh is, but I still, I'm still going to put them at 4th. So, but I don't have Miami, nor do I have the Jets on wild card or any type of playoff watch, just the Patriots.
Okay. Well, let's move on over to one of the more competitive divisions in the NFL, the AFC West. Some would say it's the most competitive division in the NFL. I don't agree.
I think it could be, but
okay,
yeah.
Chus, give me your thoughts here.
So, well, I kind of see a mirror in some aspects to the AFC North in some aspects because you have the Raiders that I think they have some pieces, but I just don't think that they have enough. I wouldn't put them on the same level as the Cleveland Browns, though, but I would still put them at a lower end type team here out of the 3 big teams, being the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Chiefs. But I think the Raiders adding Gianti and having Brock Bowers and possibly bringing in Geno Smith, Kenny Pickett's in the backfield now too for a quarterback too. I guess that's a fascinating subject to talk about, but yeah, I think that team is a lot of uncertainty there, but I think that they're going to have they still have some heavy hitters, and the biggest thing that I think that worries me with this team is the wide receiver room. But I think if they use Genti and they use Brock Bowers, they may not have to worry about it. I don't see this team really competing on the same level as the other 3, but I think that they'll still have some competitive games here and there. but I still see them coming in at 4th. But that's the Raiders. And that's just I think eventually they'll be maybe good, but this is not the year for the Raiders. Going forward, I have the Chargers at number 3. I think that the Chargers, believe it or not, are a decent team, but I just have this weird feeling about the Broncos, man. I think with the Chargers, I think that they always kind of have like this hype around them because of Justin Herbert and the wide receivers and the offense, but I think they're just going to fall short again. I have them as an outside 3. I have them right on the outside, right behind the Patriots. I have them missing playoffs, and it's not one of those things where it's like I don't think that they can't make playoffs. I just think that at points they're just going to struggle in certain big games. And I think I like Justin Herbert. I do. And I know he's quietly had some good years with good numbers, but I struggle to get past the fact that he's just really not been as successful. And whether that's the Chargers' fault, the coach's fault, the players that are around him, I just don't think that this is going to be the year either that they really get over that hump. I mean, they're not even going to, like I said, I mean, I have the Broncos ahead of them. I don't think that they're going to be really chasing the division all that much. I think they're going to be falling into a 9-8 spot. I think they're going to pick up some big wins. I wouldn't even be surprised if they beat the Chiefs and they split with them. I mean, I just think that they're going to struggle at points. And if there's any sort of injuries, I mean, Najee Harris, I know he's not going to start, but if you're putting a heavy workload on Hampton, I think it's just going to be one of those things where if Hampton gets hurt and you have to rely on Najee, if Najee gets hurt, then you're just kind of falling down. What are you going to do with the running back situation? Is Najee a good running back too that you could kind of lean on in subjects where it's like, oh yeah, he's like your touchdown powerhouse guy or your third down type running back? Like, how are you going to use all of your running back weapons? I know you got Lad McConkey, but like I said, it's just a weird playing field over in the Chargers area, and I just don't think that it's going to be as strong as the Broncos. Because to be honest, I think the Broncos are a very strong team in this division. I honestly think that Bo Nix is coming in. He may have a slump, but I think with the team that is around him, I think that the defense that he has and the tools on offense and such, I think that this team is very good. I mean, we saw it last year. We saw how competitive this team can be. And honestly, I wouldn't want to play them this season. I wouldn't want to play them just because I think they're going to give the Chiefs a little bit of trouble. I think, and they did last year too. They gave the Chiefs a little bit of trouble last year too. And I don't think that that's going to stop this year. I think that they're just going to continue to give the Chiefs issues. And although I don't think they're going to win the division because I still think the Chiefs are the Chiefs and the Chiefs are still going to win the division, I still think the team that's going to be the biggest thorn in the Chiefs' side this season is going to be the Denver Broncos. I really like this team. I really do. I think Bo Nix and the wide receivers and the offense and the defense is just a perfect mix of everything. And so I put them at 2. Then 1, I put at the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not very high on the Chiefs after last season. I think last year was like just such a huge, like, the problem I had was they looked fine, and then you would go on to get demolished in the Super Bowl by the Eagles. And I know that Eagles team was like a very elite, complete team, but that Chiefs team being what looked like like how many losses did they have? 2, 1. And they finished 16-1 last year, 15-2, 14-3. Either way, top team last year got the top seed, comes in and just looked awful in that Super Bowl, and it just. And I know that they have injuries coming back now, and they have a lot of good players. Their defense is sneaky good and stuff like that. And I get that, but I still think that they're troubling a little bit. I think they're still going to struggle in this division that's being built. I still think they're going to win it, but I don't think that they're going to be as high as we think they're going to be when it comes to 1, 2, 3, and 4. But I like this division, though. I do. I think that I think it's going to be very competitive. Like I said, I don't think the Raiders are going to compete per se, but I think that the Raiders are going to probably be in some close games, like even with their division rivals. I think maybe not necessarily with the Chiefs, but I think that they'll have some close games with like the Chargers or maybe even the Broncos. Who knows? Maybe the Chiefs, but that's where I put it. Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, Raiders. So
all right. I am going to also take the Raiders 4th. First year with Pete Carroll. They're moving Jackson Power Johnson from center to guard. See how that goes. I'm not super high on Geno Smith, coming in. Like Geno Smith's a good quarterback, but he's not their quarterback of the future. Jacoby Myers requested a trade. They said they're not going to honor that, but who knows what's going on in that locker room. They just released Christian Wilkins, who was a huge signing for them 2 free agencies ago, and now he's not even on the team. It's just a lot. Like, yeah, they have Brock Bowers. Yeah, they have Ashton Gianti, but there's just not enough for me in this division for them to, and I don't think they're trying to be a playoff team right now. I think they're trying to be competitive and rebuild and get something going with these young guys. And that's fine. That's the way the, ecosystem of the NFL works. Next up, I'm going to put the Chargers. Now, the Chargers have a lot of young guys that I really like. They have Lad McConkey. They brought back why am I forgetting his name? Oh my gosh, Keenan Allen. I love Keenan Allen, but Justin Herbert's great. But they lost Rashawn Slater. That's a huge piece on the offensive line that they don't have. And if I'm looking at the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos as my 3 options, I think that the Chargers will be very good, and they could very well. This could be a situation where they have 2 wildcard teams in this division, but the Chargers just, they aren't quite there yet for me to put them up higher. And I don't think they're going to be bad. I just don't think they'll be as good. And that Rashawn Slater injury is just too much for me to, consider. So then we come down to the Chiefs and the Broncos. And I'm going to swing for the ballpark here. I'm going to put Chiefs second. I think this could be the year that the Chiefs finally lose the division. And now, of course, Patrick Mahomes is going to elevate anyone who's around him. There's no doubt about that. I'm not knocking Patrick Mahomes. Yes, he had a down season last year, but it's Patrick Mahomes. So that's not my reasoning here. My reasoning is Pacheco is coming off injury. Is he going to be the same Pacheco? Rashee Rice is suspended for 6 games. So Hollywood Brown is your wide receiver 1, presumably, unless Xavier Worthy takes a huge step. Their defense is good, but I don't think it's as good as the Denver Broncos defense. And yes, were the Kansas City Chiefs a very good team last year record-wise? Yes, they 100% were. But if you watched those games, they were not dominating in a lot of those games. A lot of those games came down to 1 or 2 plays that just tipped in their favor. And it could have easily been a much worse record. They're still a very good team. I'm not arguing that. But I think that this is the year that the Denver Broncos are going to come in. They have the reigning defensive player of the year. They have Bo Nix. I've always liked Bo Nix. Bo Nix, I liked him when he was drafted. I thought he was drafted a little too high, but I thought he was a fun prospect. And he was fun to watch last year, other than when he was playing the Bengals, and I almost had a heart attack during that game. But Bo Nix is just, he's fun. He's coming into his second year. He's got his teammate Troy Franklin on his team, or former college teammate, now still his Broncos teammate, but he's posed for a breakout year. They brought in RJ Harvey. They brought in J.K. Dobbins. Sean Payton, say what you want about him, but he's still a good head coach. It's just, they are a good team. I like what the Broncos are doing. I like what they've built, and I think this could be the year that they, win one more game over the Chiefs. Or maybe they have the same record and they just have a better, division record, and they just, end up, it's going to be closer than I think a lot of people are thinking. I think a lot of people are just seeing the Chiefs logo and putting the Chiefs up top because of Patrick Mahomes. But hey, Travis Kelce might get distracted. He's got a wedding to plan. So
I like that pick though. Like I said, I thought about it. I really did think about putting the Broncos above the Chiefs. Like I said, I agree with you. I really like the Broncos this year. I'm just gonna roll with the Chiefs just because it's the safer bet. So
I'm gonna tee it up. Next up, we got the AFC North, the best division in the NFL. And I did not create this graphic. This is NFL.com.
Yeah, who created this graphic?
Sorry, Browns fans.
Okay.
I think me and Chus are both gonna have the Browns at the bottom. But I'm gonna put them at the bottom. I don't even know what their quarterback situation is. So I don't think they know what their quarterback situation is. They had one of my favorite draft classes this year, though, so that's a silver lining. They've got a very good young team. They got Harold Fannin Jr., who I really like, Dylan Sampson, who I really like, um, the linebacker out of UCLA. What's his name? Carson Schwessinger, I think, something like that. I don't know. I really liked him. Still really like him, but this division is so good. Chus, I'm putting Steelers third. I think you guys are going to go 9-8 again, maybe 10-7. We'll see. But the Steelers are the Steelers. The standard is the standard. Also, are you guys going to extend Cam Hayward? You got plans for that? You don't know. Next, next up, I'm going to put the Bengals. This hurts. I would love to put the Bengals up on top, but that defense is just got too many question marks right now. I hope the Bengals win the division. I'm going to be rooting for the Bengals to win the division, but if I'm being objective, I don't know that I can say they're going to win the division this year. That doesn't mean they won't win a Super Bowl, though. And then, you got the Baltimore Ravens. They're good. I hate to say it. They're a good team. They got Lamar Jackson, who's phenomenal in the regular season. Derrick Henry. They've got, they added to their defense that was already great. They had a fantastic draft. They got Mike Green. They've just, I hate this team. I hate this team so much. They got the safety out of Georgia. What's his name? Starts with an M. That I really wanted the Bengals to draft, and now that the Bengals didn't draft him, I've completely wiped him out of my Malachi Starks. Yes, they got him. They signed Jair Alexander in free agency. So I do think the Baltimore Ravens will win the division. But after today, I will be rooting for the Bengals to win the division, and none of this will matter. So, Chus, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that last statement. Not on the Bengals side, but I'm not going to be rooting for the Baltimore Ravens to win the division. But going bottom up, I have the Cleveland Browns in last. I feel like that was going without saying. I think there's a lot of issues over in Cleveland that they really got to figure out. And it's sad just because you have guys like Myles Garrett, specifically Myles Garrett, that are just kind of like wasting away. He might be one of the best rushers that we've seen in a very long time. And he's just never going to really see the light of day, which is really sad because they had very high hopes at the beginning of the decade, and they've just since fallen to the bottom of the pit once again here in the AFC North. And I just don't know what's going to happen over there with their quarterback situation. Yes, Joe Flacco is starting, but I feel like at some point we're going to see a quarterback carousel, and that's just going to be the end of the season. As soon as you see them start flipping around quarterbacks, and whether Shador starts or not, it doesn't matter. As soon as you start seeing quarterback flips, it's going to be the end. And like, even if Shador starts midway through the season, I don't even think he's not going to, I think he's probably third on the depth chart, I imagine. And he's got to be, because Kenny Pickett got
He's
traded.
third.
So
Yeah, he's third
yeah.
now.
So he wouldn't even be starting next. And I know that's the big story is, will Shador start? And I just, if he does start, it wouldn't be until the end of the season. Even if he wins the last 3 games, it's still not really going to make a big enough push for them to really make it any higher than 4th. So it doesn't really, I just can't see it. So that being said, me and you have a little bit of a flip-flop here, Josh, but it's really only by, in my opinion, 1 game. I have the Bengals in third, but it's only just because of, your defense is still a little, I'm still not entirely sold on the defense just yet. I'm excited to see what is going to happen this year under new defensive coordinators and under all new, the whole 9 yard here. I'm very excited to see what they do now with, what is it, Golden? Is that his last name?
All Golden out of
Yes.
Notre Dame. We got Jesus on our side now.
Okay, well, I'm very excited about Al Golden and his defensive scheme. However, your offense is still very, very good. Or probably phenomenal, if you want me to put it that way. Your offense is phenomenal. But the thing is I think I don't know how Golden's going to do it. I think that you're going to be better, but I think that there's just going to be some sort of competitive thing where I think the AFC North is just going to be so competitive. And honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if it ends up being one of those things where it's as we talked about. What are you doing?
I'm flying the Bengals W.
Okay.
I don't have an actual W, so
I don't think it's going to be like an NFC North type thing like last year where it's going to be just insane, where it's like, oh yeah, you have a 14-3 team getting a fifth seed wild card. But I think that it's going to be competitive enough. The AFC in general is just going to be competitive enough where I think that even if the Steelers and the Bengals both finish 9-8 or 10-7 or whatever, it's either going to be determined by one game or it's going to be determined by a tiebreaker. And I just feel like the Steelers just love to just troll. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers and Bengals both finish 10-7, but we have a tiebreaker over you. So we jump to second. And that's why I have the Steelers in second. So I don't expect us to go any higher than maybe 11-6, because I say that every year. But it's going to be 9-8 or 10-7. But I have them at second, just because I kind of like the defense a lot more than I did last year. I think that we had a lot of backfield issues, which some people are starting to speculate maybe Minka might have been the reason for some of the blown coverage. So if that's the reasoning, he's no longer in the backfield anymore. They're running some really weird defensive plays now. All of a sudden, they're running some very odd stuff. We bulked up on the defense with Sawyer. You still have Highsmith. Cole Holcomb's coming back. You've got really good defensive backs. Sean Elliott's still running back there, and I'm really excited to see what Juwan Thornhill does, because despite him playing for the Browns and not really having that much of a breakout, he did play for a champion-winning Kansas City Chiefs. So I'm very excited to see what his presence brings on the defensive side. Yes, there's some weird stuff going on with Cam Hayward. We've got some injuries that we're dealing with some of our prospects,
Or your
but
first round pick.
yeah, which is kind of tough, but I don't think it's going to hinder us too much. I think that this defense is still going to be as elite as it's been, if not even better. So I'm very excited to see what happens this season with the defense. The offense is still a giant question mark, but I think with the way that they're running it, I'm a little nervous with Caleb Johnson. He didn't seem very promising at times during preseason, but they just extended Jalen Warren, and they have Kenneth Gainwell they can lean back on too, who's also a pretty solid running back. And they have 3 tight ends too. So Aaron Rodgers can really rely on the tight ends and those kind of packages. DK Metcalf, obviously, stud at a wide receiver, and Roman Wilson could be a breakout. So I think that this team could be very sneaky good. I'm very, very high on this team. But it's very wait and see type esque, because Aaron Rodgers could really crop himself in his last year, or he could do really good. But I'm excited for this season, as you are, Josh, for both AFC matchups. Pretty much easy to say that Baltimore is going to win the division, though, regardless of being a Steelers or Bengals fan or wherever we finish second, third. Uh, it's going to be Baltimore. I just can't see either of us making that jump. And I think Baltimore is going to be once again that force to be reckoned with. I think Lamar is not going to slow down. I mean, I think sometimes I always question their wide receiver room, just because they have Zay Flowers, and then after that it's
Bateman.
Bateman. Yeah,
I
I
think they
always
still have
question.
Aguilar.
Yeah, so it's like a very weird drop off after Zay, but they still have Mark Andrews, and they still have Derrick Henry, and they still have just a really solid defense. I mean, this team is just not going to be. I just can't see a reality in which they don't win the division again. So
They're a
that being
run
said,
heavy team too. So they don't.
yeah, and they're just going to truck through defensive lines. I mean, that's what they're going to do. And even if the Steelers or the Bengals have a very good defensive line, they're just going to truck through. It's just going to happen.
Oh, they don't have Aguilar, but they have D Hop. I forgot Hopkins signed there.
Oh, right. D Hop is there now. Yeah. So one old wide receiver to another. But so yeah, so these are my predictions here. Once again, well, you want to go 1-7 or 7-1? I'll go 7-1. Okay. For my playoffs. So I have Bengals at 7. So I have you guys going at 7, but it's a favorable matchup, so you'll see. I have the Steelers at 6. So once again, very easily reversed here. It could be 6 or 7, but I'm just putting Bengals and Steelers, keeping it division standard here. 7-6. I have the Broncos at 5, and I have the Chiefs at 4. And then I have the Texans at 3, which puts the Ravens at 2, and the Bills at 1. So that means that a hot Bengals team could go into Baltimore and cause some mischief. So, and I think you would probably like that. So, but that's where I put them. And my outside 3 would be the Patriots, the Chargers, and then the Jaguars. So.
Okay. I'm going to put the Chargers at 7.
Okay.
I'm doing this off the top of my head, so if this doesn't make any sense, that's why. The Chargers are at 7.
Okay.
We got the. Let's go ahead and put the Steelers at 6. Gonna put the Bengals at 5.
Yeah, it makes sense. You're all good so far. And then it's your division winners.
Oh wait, no, not the Chargers. Not the Chargers at 6. I'll put the Chiefs at 6. Chiefs
Okay.
at 6.
So
I
Steelers
have
at
the
7.
Chargers going 3rd. Steelers. So Steelers at 7. Is that what I said?
Okay. Well, you
Chargers-
said Steelers at 6. So Steelers at 7.
Steelers at 7. Chiefs
Chiefs.
at 6.
Bengals at 5.
Bengals at 5.
Okay.
And then let's see. I'm gonna put the Texans as my division winner, 4th division winner. And then we have probably, which of these is the weakest? Probably the Bills, but not by like a lot. And then the Ravens or the Broncos, probably the Broncos and then the Ravens. I think the Ravens could win the conference.
You
But-
think Ravens are going to win the conference? Okay.
Yeah, I think those could be switched around. Like I said, that's off the top of my head. So, but I
Yeah.
think those could be switched around. Now we have the whole NFC to do.
Yeah, but that's okay because the NFC is awesome, and I'm very excited to talk about the best division ever, being the NFC South. So yeah, that's gonna
Well-
be exciting.
Okay, go.
Yeah. So the NFC South is always a silly, goofy division just because of it being so mediocre. Very apples and oranges from the AFC North and really a lot of the Anyway, so I mean, I don't even know where to start with this. I'm going 1 to 4 just because it's easier. Tampa Bay is going to win the division, and I think their team is decent. I think that they honestly, this might come as a very, very controversial, but I was talking with a couple of friends about it. One friend in particular, and this Tampa Bay team could actually be very sneaky. I mean, this team has had some very good playoff runs. Once they get in, they always make some sort of noise. And I don't see them slowing down. Chris Godwin's coming back at some point in the next couple of weeks from his season-ending injury from last year. He'll be coming back. That offense is just going to be dominant once he comes back. Baker Mayfield once again looks like he's just slinging it out there, and I think the defense is bumped up. I honestly think that if a couple of right things go their way, we could see Tampa Bay making a deep run this year. And they're a fun team to always root for, especially now with Easy Bake Oven at center. But I have Tampa Bay winning this division. But I have a very interesting concept here, though, because although Tampa Bay is going to be good, I honestly think that the Carolina Panthers are going to be also kind of just milling around here in second. And I know that a lot of people are saying that, Carolina is just not some team to really be thinking about. But I think Carolina showed a lot of hope last year. And I think that Carolina might be one of those teams that like halfway, like towards the end of the season where you kind of see them in the hunt playoff spot on the side because they're kind of still in fighting for the division. But it's like, if Tampa Bay wins the division, they get eliminated. Like there's no way for them to get a wild card type thing. Because we see that all the time with like some teams where they're like, oh yeah, they have like a chance to make playoffs, but it's really depending on the divisions and stuff. And if they win, I think Carolina is going to be that one team. I don't consider them an outside 3, but I consider them a team that's kind of like all over the place in terms of just productivity. I think, like I said, I put here Panthers will finish second in NFC South, but because that division is dookie, they will not be an outside 3 because the only way they'd make it in is if they won the division. The Falcons will play quarterback carousel this year, promoting a lower finish than expected. Saints will be lucky to have 3 wins. So I have the Falcons at 3rd. I have the Falcons at 3rd, which makes sense because they still have a lot of uncertainty with the with the quarter. Like, I mean, I know they're going to run with Penix, but I still wonder how that whole thing's going to go. I think the Falcons will be okay, but I don't think they're going to make that jump to second. I still think it's going to be Carolina. I love Chuba Hubbard. I think the wide receiver room is looking a little bit stronger than it did. Despite losing Thielen, it's fine. I think it's going to be a little bit better. Like I said, I don't think it's like Tampa Bay level, but I think it's going to be fine. And then New Orleans, I don't really want to talk about them, but like I said, they'll be lucky to have 3 wins.
Yeah, the Saints aren't going to be good. I think I've roasted both of their quarterbacks at various points. I believe I called Tyler Shuck the most overrated draft prospect this year. So
Right.
New head coach, like just nothing's really looking up for them. Chris Olave, is good, but is he going to stay healthy? So Saints last.
Probably not.
I'm going to put Panthers third. Bryce Young finished strong last year, but does he do that again? Does this team come out? Does Xavier Legette take his next step that he needs to? Where does this? There's just too many question marks. I really like the Falcons. I think the Falcons, I don't know. Michael Penix Jr., I think he could, surprise you. They got Jesse Bates on defense still. That defense didn't do as well as I thought they would last year, but they still did okay. Drake London, Kyle Pitts. It could be Kyle Pitts' year. I think the Falcons could get second. I think you're sleeping on Penix a little bit there. I feel more comfortable betting on Penix than I do on Bryce Young at this point. So
that's fair. I mean, like I said, I'm higher on Bryce than I am Michael Penix, but maybe I just haven't seen enough of Penix.
That's what it comes down to for me. Is like Penix versus Bryce Young, and then Penix, and then I guess worst case scenario, if Penix absolutely just comes out and is dog water, you still have Kirk Cousins.
That's why I said quarterback carousel.
Well, that could happen, but I don't think it will. And then winning the division is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You got Mike Evans. You got Baker Mayfield. Chris Godwin's going to come back. They've got a good team. That offense is going to be fun. The defense, they've got some guys. Nothing too flashy, but enough to get it done. Got Antoine Winfield over there. So it could be, I believe he's still on the team. But you've got some Emeka Egbuka. Our friend Tito keeps saying that he's going to be a top 3 rookie this year. So,
he's a receiver. Egbuka.
Egbuka, big talent. Yes, Antoine Winfield. I don't know why I thought he might not have been on the team anymore, but he is still on the team. So Tampa Bay, they're winning the division. Next up, we have what used to be the worst division in sports, but is no longer because of the NFC South. The NFC East. The Dallas Cowboys, the New York Giants, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Washington Commanders. Well, let's start from the bottom here. Holy cow, man. What a ride to the bottom here for these teams. I am going to put hot take here. I'm going to put the Dallas Cowboys in last. Because, Jerry Jones said they need to stop the run. And it's true, Micah Parsons isn't great in the run game. But I don't really know how signing Kenny Clark does that for you long term. You lost your pass rush, and now you might not have a run defense either. Kenny Clark will do it for a few games, but he's older and he has an injury history. So then what are you going to do, Jerry? What's your plan after that? Their offense is I like Dak. I don't mind Dak. CeeDee Lamb's good. Jake Ferguson's good, but there's nothing too exciting. Javonte Williams is their starting running back. What are we doing in Dallas, Jerry? Come on. I think the Dallas sports fans have been through enough with the Luka trade and now the Micah trade, and now they got to watch this. This is going to be a mess. They're even going to lose to the New York Giants, who have been they've been a joke. But I think they'll manage to get third this year just because of how bad I think the Cowboys are going to be.
This is just I had myself muted, but I just needed to this is awesome. This is awesome.
You've got the New York Giants, Malik Neighbors. Didn't have a quarterback throwing to him last year. And now he's got Russell Wilson throwing to him, who I think we can agree is at least an upgrade over Daniel Jones. But Russell Wilson might not even start the whole year because they got Jackson Dart, who looked great in the preseason. He looked phenomenal. Yep. He made trading up for him worth it. maybe the Steelers should have drafted him. But Jackson Dart, he comes in. I think this team is going to be a very good place. And I've said it all offseason. This defense is underrated. They were underrated last year. They're going to be underrated again this year. I like this team. I think that the Giants are going in the right direction. Brian Dable's kind of on the hot seat, so he's going to be desperate. He's going to be coaching these boys up, and they're going to win. But that's not going to be enough to overcome what we have in the rest of the division. We have like two very polar opposites here. We got the Dallas Cowboys and the Giants. Then over here, we got the reigning Super Bowl champions and the reigning rookie of the year in Jaden Daniels. So I'm going to put the Washington Commanders in second. They're good. They're going to be fun. Jaden Daniels is going to be good. But Jaden Daniels started up here. Can he get back up here? I don't know. I think he's still going to be good, though. They've got a lot of good players that I'm excited for. Zach Ertz kind of concerns me because he's getting on that kind of, tipping point of is he going to, get hurt and end his career or what's going to happen. But that running back room, same thing with Austin Eckler. We don't know what's going to happen. They do have some nice rookies that they brought in, though. Terry McLaurin. I do like the Washington Commanders. I think they're going to do well again. But it's hard to bet against the reigning Super Bowl champions who have the reigning offensive player of the year in Saquon Barkley. Now, I'm not saying Saquon's going to repeat what he did last year, but there's just so much good on this team. This defense is just all studs. Zach Bond, Jalen Carter. You've got all three levels on defense are phenomenal. They have stars on each level of that. Then on offense, you have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts with his legs, Dallas Goedert. You could sit here and just list stars on the Eagles all day. They are going to win this division, but it'll be close with the Washington Commanders behind them, in my opinion. Chus, what say you?
It's crazy looking at my predictions here as of August 20th because, man, I actually had the Cowboys as an outside 3 team. And I don't know if I can even commit to that anymore. I genuinely don't even know if I can commit to the Cowboys being an outside 3. I'm putting them also in 4th. I was gonna with Micah Parsons, this might have been a different story. I feel like going in a couple weeks ago, I was like, all right, yeah, this team is gonna be an outside team, like an 8 and 9 and stuff. But now you have you got no pass rush. You just without Micah Parsons, it's just really weird. You're running back, like you said, Javonte Williams, and then you have George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. Dak's got 2 decent wide receivers that he's going to be throwing to. But I don't understand. This Cowboys team is just, and they haven't been really that good the last couple of years, and they just don't seem indifference to the Giants. I don't feel like the Dallas Cowboys are going in the right direction. I mean, I think that they could still finish as an outside 3, but at this point, I think this will be the first on-the-fly change that I'm willing to make, and I'm going to do it right now. I think that I'm going to have the Giants in 3rd and as an outside 3. So I think that this Giants team is. I thought initially, I think this division is going to be absolutely bumping. I think that this division is going to be kind of like the NFC North, but the NFC North still exists, so that division's also going to be bumping. I think the NFC is just going to be bumping this year. I honestly think that I wouldn't be surprised if a 6 or 7 seed ends up just going crazy. So. But I think the Giants, we've talked about this before. I think the defense was sneaky good last year. You mentioned it. They put on some really tight games. I remember with the Steelers on primetime football, the Giants really played tough. And that was with Daniel Jones. This team is good. And then Malik Neighbors was producing good points and production last year with Daniel Jones. And imagine, like you said, what he's going to do with Russ. And even if Russ doesn't finish the season, you still got Jackson Dart. This defense is solid. Not very big on Tyrone Tracy, but who knows? We've got a young boy coming up too. So, but that being said, I have the Giants at 3rd. I think that they could genuinely be an outside 3 as well. But the problem is I think the NFC is way too stacked this year to even to see them possibly push for the playoffs. Me and you have very different perspectives on what's going to happen. I actually have the Eagles in 2nd. I think the Eagles are I think the Eagles are very, very good, but I think that the production that they had last year is going to kind of, dwindle a little bit. I mean, they lost. I mean, they still have some dogs on that team and stuff like that, but I don't think the magic is going to be as fluent this year. I think Washington, in my opinion, just arguably kind of looks like the better team. It's hard to repeat a Super Bowl. It's hard to repeat everything that they did last year. Last year, for the Philadelphia Eagles, it was magical. It just seems like unless like you're the Kansas City Chiefs or some of these other teams, it's very hard to repeat. You end up getting plagued with injuries. You get a lot of things going in the wrong direction. I still think the Eagles are going to make playoffs. I do. I think they're still going to probably cause a lot of noise. I wouldn't even be surprised as a wild card team that they would go on to the NFC Championship again. I wouldn't be shocked, but I think it's going to be a very tough road for them to win this division because they have a lot of very good competitive teams in this division. They lost a couple of guys on defense. I mean, their offense is still going to be unbelievable, but yeah, I just think that this team's just going to fall just a little short to Washington, but not by much, because I think that this is going to be one of those things like we saw last year with the NFC North, where it's going to be a situation where the Vikings are, or not the Vikings, that's NFC North, but it's going to be like where Washington's going to have like 13 or so wins, and we're going to see Philadelphia have like 11 or 12. So I think it's going to be really close, and I think it's going to be very like high powered NFC division here. But I think that Philadelphia will finish in second with double digit wins, but Washington will ultimately prevail. I love Jaden Daniels. I love what he's doing. I think that team is so good. I think it is so fun to watch. And I'm so excited to watch the Washington Commanders actually produce some good football. And yeah, I think the Eagles will finish in second. This is one of those divisions, though. It's an exciting, fun division. So
It is. It is. Chus, why don't you talk about the NFC West?
Okay, yeah. So the NFC West is kind of weird just because I feel like there's a lot of decent teams possibly, but couple that I'm just really not sold on. And the one team that I'm very much not sold on is the Seattle Seahawks. And you lose Geno Smith, you lose DK Metcalf, you're running with Sam Darnold, you have Cooper Cup now, but it just doesn't feel like this team is moving in. It's moving in a different direction than I was anticipating. Yes, you have Kenneth Walker, and you still got Zach Charbonnet like in the backfield in case Kenneth Walker gets hurt. You're still going to utilize some of the players that you have with Lockett, or not Lockett, but point being is you're still going to have some good players that aren't. I don't know. They're not money makers, but they're definitely. I forgot that I tend to forget that Tyler Lockett's also not on that team anymore. So it's just Smith Najigba and Cooper Cup and Sam Darnold. We have to really hope that he produces the same magic that he had with the Minnesota Vikings, which is also very much questionable. And so I'm putting the Seattle Seahawks at 4. And yeah, so with that being said, moving forward, I'm putting the Cardinals at 3. I think that that's a safe bet. I think that with the Cardinals, I think that they have some weapons on offense. They have some weapons on defense. I think that honestly, they're in better shape, in my opinion, than Seattle is. Seattle this season has a lot of uncertainty. Like I said, I don't think the Seattle Seahawks are going to finish horrible, but I don't think that they're going to have like more than 7 wins. I feel like that's being very generous. I feel like they're going to probably have more 5 or 6. I'm just not sold on Sam Darnold. I think the Vikings are a very good team, and I just think that with the team that he has around him in Seattle, I just don't see it. But going forward, I think Arizona showed a little bit last year that they can possibly run with the big group, and with Marvin Harrison and with James Conner still in the backfield, Kyler Murray. This could be a big season for him, breaking out as possibly a decent quarterback. I have them as an outside 3, but I think they're kind of on a far outside 3 because I just think that this NFC is just unbelievably stacked. So I think the Cardinals are going to be an outside 3, but I think they're going to be a long shot, like a 7-10, 8-9 type team. It's probably not going to do it, but I can see the hype around them, more or less. Going second, I have the San Francisco 49ers. I feel like they're a team that's just been kind of just I don't know. They've just been, although they've got Christian McCaffrey and they got they've got Brock Purdy and a couple other key weapons on defense as well. George Kittle's getting older. They don't have Debo anymore. He's in Washington now. Um, they only are running with Ayuk, who I think is hurt or battling some sort of injury. There's just a lot happening over in San Francisco. It's really hard for me to like really put them as a top argument for this division, just because I think the Rams are in a better position. I do. I think that the Rams are going to win this division. I think that Matt Stafford's coming in, although he's older, he's a top vet. He's won a Super Bowl. He knows what he's doing. Although he lost Cooper Kupp, he's still got Puka Nakua. They've got crazy running backs in the backfield now. They've got way too many now that we don't even know what they're going to do with. And despite losing Aaron Donald to retirement a few seasons back, their defense is still looking pretty solid. And they made a lot of noise last year. In fact, they were the only team to really give Philadelphia in the playoffs like a really big run. I actually thought at one point that the Rams were going to win. And a lot of those players are returning. A lot of those players, other than, like I said, Cooper Kupp, they're returning going into the season. I think that the Rams are going to be the one on top. And San Francisco, I don't have them as an outside three, but I actually have them making playoffs at the end. But I'm just not sold on the 49ers winning this division. I'm just not. And like I said, I don't think the Cardinals are going to make a big enough push to even warrant it. And I would be very shocked if we're talking about the Seattle Seahawks winning the division come December. If that happens, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say.
Well, I happen to have Seattle Seahawks winning the no. So
If you did, that's crazy. But I mean, it's sad though too, because like I said at the beginning, I don't know if you caught me, but I said Tyler Lockett, and I tend to forget that he's also not on that team anymore.
he's not on that team anymore.
It's really sad. That Seattle Seahawks team is just like, I don't know. We'll see. I guess it's getting old.
So I'm gonna put. Sorry, Joe Camo. I'm gonna put the Cardinals. Sorry, Silver Wolf AZ, fan of the show, big fan of you, but I gotta put the Cardinals in last. And I like the team. I like a lot of what they've done. There are some former Bengals on that team, but Chus, one of your points with the Cardinals was Kyler Murray could have a breakout season. I think Kyler Murray's kind of what he is at this point. I mean, he's been in the league since, I believe he's a 2019 rookie, and we're talking about him having a breakout season in 2025.
Okay, but you're acting like Geno Smith and some of these other quarterbacks haven't had breakout seasons like 6 or 7 seasons.
I know, but I don't see it. I don't see it with Kyler Murray. Fine. I like the team. I like the fans, but I just don't see. I don't think they've done enough yet. Maybe I'm wrong. They have players that I like too. They just aren't there yet for me. Next up, I'm actually going to put the 49ers. And here's my reasoning. They don't have Debo anymore. Brandon Ayuk is out till mid-October, I believe. You then have Ricky Purcell, who I liked, and Jawan Jennings are your wide receiver 1 and 2, presumably. And then you have George Kittle, who you mentioned has struggled with injury in the past. I love George Kittle. Big George Kittle guy. Trent Williams. He's getting older. Still a phenomenal left tackle. I'd say best in the league. But he's getting older. Could have some injury there. We're also kind of getting to the point now where we're going to learn a lot about Brock Purdy. Was Brock Purdy's contract worth it, or does he kind of need the Avengers around him to help him carry this team? I love Christian McCaffrey too, but he's getting older. He had a really weird season last year when it came to injuries. So I don't see the 49ers getting it done. I think they're going to have a lot of weaknesses exposed. But that being said, Kyle Shanahan, he's an offensive guru. Maybe he comes up with something. I'm not seeing it. The Seattle Seahawks. Now, their offense is super underwhelming, like you kind of alluded to, but I think their defense is a lot better than people give it credit for. They've got a lot of nice players on there. Leonard Williams, who's older but has always been good. Byron Murphy. You got DeMarcus Lawrence is still on that team. Ernest Jones did pretty good last year, and Devon Witherspoon, who I really like. He is someone who I think could, kind of help out on that defense, take another step this year. And, Sam Darnold, he looked good last year. He learned a lot from Kevin O'Connell. And also, if Sam Darnold doesn't maybe do it, they do have Jalen Milroe. We could see that happen. I know he's third on the depth chart, but I think that he could jump Drew Lock for that start. We'll see what happens with all that. I do think the Seahawks, though, could get second. It's not going to – I don't have them in the playoffs, but I do think they could get second in this division. Or I don't think I have them in the playoffs. We'll find out when I do those off the top of my head. But right now I'm saying they're not in the playoffs. I like the LA Rams a lot. I do think they're going to win the division. Yes, Matthew Stafford's had some injury issues, but it sounds like they're past that, I guess. I like Kyron Williams. They added Devontae Adams. Puka, you got him. But the defense is really the star of the show when it comes to Los Angeles. They got Braden Fisk, who I loved in the combine 2 years ago. Kobe Turner has just been awesome for them as well. And then you get down to like their interior defensive line, and it's just, Kobe Turner, Puna Ford has been great for them in there. Byron Young, Jared Verse, like it just keeps getting better. Those linebackers and that whole defensive line is just amazing. I think that the Los Angeles Rams have this pretty handedly when it comes to the division. That was a lot of talking. Also, I muted my mic on StreamYard, but I don't know if it muted it on Spotify. So if the Spotify listeners heard me yell "mom," that's because my mom has been wanting to come in here while we're recording and grab something. So that was sorry, Spotify listeners. That's on me. Anyway, but if it didn't happen, you have no idea what I'm talking about, and so just ignore it. But finally, let's move on. It's been an hour and a half to the division, the creme de la creme of the NFC. The NFC
Or
North.
so we think.
Or so we think. That's right. So I'm going to, let's see. Okay. Bears, you're going fourth. First year head coach, Ben Johnson. I think he'll do great things. I like Ben Johnson. I like Colston Loveland. I think they've added some great pieces, but this division is just not a division that you turn it around in 1 year. This is an insane division right now, especially with the fact that the Packers went and added Micah Parsons. And a week ago, I would have told you that the Packers were going to be third in this division pretty handedly. But now I think that it could be between the Vikings and the Packers. I'm actually going to put the Vikings at third. And I don't think they're going to be a bad team. So Vikings fans, don't get mad at me. I think they're still going to be a very good team. Still think they're going to make the playoffs. But J.J. McCarthy, he's an unknown. I think he could be very good. But Jordan Addison being suspended for those first 3 games could cause you to drop some games early. And that could honestly be the difference between the Packers and the Vikings in this, kind of ranking system. 1 game could be the difference. Half a game could be the difference. We'll see what happens. But I do think the Vikings will get third. Very good team still, though. There's like nothing I have to say bad about them other than just J.J. McCarthy being an unknown. And then, okay, we're moving to Packers being second, obviously. Micah Parsons being added. That's the X factor for me. They were a playoff team last year. They were a very good team last year. And now they've added Micah Parsons. I do have some concerns about their wide receiver room. That's been a consistent thing, though, for the last few years. So, I mean, they've gotten it done with those questions looming. That's not a new thing. So we'll see what the Packers can do with their wide receivers, what they've got with their tight end. But Micah Parsons is that X factor, and that is what has me putting them over the Vikings. Okay, next up, the Detroit Lions first. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, well, they lost Aaron Glenn. They lost Ben Johnson. Okay, yeah, that happens when you have a good team. Guess who's still there? MCDC, Motor City Dan Campbell. He's going to get those boys going. Jared Goff is still the starting quarterback. You've still got David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. You got Sonic and Knuckles in the backfield. This defense is great. You got Aiden Hutchinson coming back off injury, looking for a new contract, and he is hungry. He has something to prove because some people might have forgotten about it. And he's going to remind them very quickly who he is. They also had a phenomenal draft. They had a lot of guys I really liked. Isaac Tesla was really the only pick that they had that I was kind of like, that's a little weird. They already have a ton of wide receivers, but they cleared out their wide receiver room and made some room for him. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for Tate Ratledge. I think that they made some great pickups. I think Detroit Lions kind of shushed the doubters pretty early on about the coordinators moving, and they are able to win this division and maybe even the conference. Ben Johnson may have left, but his ideas are still in the building. So, Chus, what are your thoughts on that division?
Yeah, it's for me, it's pretty similar to what we were talking about, or what you were talking about, I guess I should say. I have the Bears in fourth. I think that although Caleb Williams and a lot of the team showed some signs of promise last year, some sort of signs of improvement, I just don't think that this is going to be the year, especially as you mentioned with this division, where they're going to make some sort of magnificent breakthrough of making it to third, second, or even close to first place. I, much like yourself, really like Loveland. I'm very excited to see what he does for this Chicago Bears team, but I don't think that his presence among their other rookies are going to be enough to really push them ahead. So I have them at fourth, and very much similar to you, I have the Vikings in third. Once again, as you mentioned, I don't think that the team's going to be bad, but I'm very unsure of how JJ McCarthy is going to perform. We saw how Sam Darnold did, and we can probably assume that JJ McCarthy will be just fine. But we don't really know. We really don't. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty going into it. I put them at a safe bet. Just they're gonna go 500. They'll be 9-8, but I have them as an outside 3. I don't think they're gonna make playoffs. Like you said, Jordan Addison not being in that playing field for the first 3 weeks, relying on Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson might be a little different than what you're used to. And then when Jordan Addison does come back into it, they do have 3 pretty top wide receivers for JJ McCarthy to throw to. But I don't think we're going to see the same production that we saw last year, the same magic that we saw with the Vikings. It's just hard for me to really fathom that, more or less. Like I said, I think they're going to be good, but I think that this year is going to be an off year for them. I think that this year is going to be one of those years where it's like, well, 9-8, 8-9, whatever, 10-7, not make playoffs, whatever the case may be. I just I think that for them, it's just going to be one of those things where they are just going to have one down year, and then I think they'll be back in this conversation come next year. So just so JJ McCarthy can get his feet wet. Second, going with the Packers as well, but I think that race is going to be close. Adding Micah Parsons is a very good addition. I think that that's going to really help the Packers. And I think that that's going to make them a very big threat, but I don't think that they're going to threat out the Lions. I think that the Lions are going to very much win the division. I think, though, that much like our East friends, I think that the North is going to be much of a bloodbath with multiple teams with double-digit wins. I mean, I don't know how the actual layout goes. I feel like there's going to be a lot of drop off teams in the NFC, where I think that there's going to be a lot of heavy hitters, where I think the AFC is going to be very balanced. I think there are going to be a lot of strong teams, but I think the NFC is going to have very similar to what we saw last year, where it's like, oh yeah, 16-1, and then 14-3 makes the playoffs as a 5 seed, and you're going to see a lot of heavy hitters this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's the same thing. I think the Packers were decent last year. I think that they made some upgrades, and I think that their wide receiver that they drafted is going to have possibly a breakout year, despite them already having a crap ton of wide receivers. It's going to be a pretty interesting wide receiver room for them to use around. So I put the Packers at 2, and then I put the Detroit Lions at number 1. But I think this division is very sneaky. I think the Vikings could kind of sneak themselves into a playoff spot, despite me having them as an outside 3. But that was also under the circumstances that the 49ers may sneak in. And I know you're not high on the 49ers, but I just feel like that this might be the last year that they sneak in before they completely fall off. I think next year they're going to completely fall off.
Okay.
Oh,
So my 3 like outside three teams, on seventh place, I have the Minnesota Vikings. In
Okay.
second place, I have the Green Bay Packers. Or in sixth place, whatever. In fifth place, I have the Washington Commanders.
Right.
In fourth place, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay. You with
Okay.
me?
Okay. Yeah,
In
I'm
third
listening.
place, I have the LA Rams.
Okay.
In second place, the reigning Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles. And in first place, the Detroit Lions. That's
Very okay.
those are my picks.
All
I
right.
don't even know if
So
they can happen schedule wise, but those are my picks.
yeah, it could. It very well could. So these are my picks going into it. Don't know if, like I said, if it'll happen, but somebody can yell at me in the comments about it. Outside three, meaning the three that I think for in my definition for outside three, I'm doing it as three teams that I think are going to compete but aren't going to make playoffs for a variety of different reasons. I think it's going to be Cardinals, Vikings, Giants. I think that those are going to be the last three teams that you see on your screen on week 18. And maybe Carolina. I mean, I guess because they may not, Tampa Bay may not clinch until week 18. So you may have Carolina thrown on there. But okay, 7. I have San Francisco for the standard. And then I have, shockingly enough, I actually have the Philadelphia Eagles at 6. I do. I do. But this is also on the basis that I have like I have 5, 6, 1, 2, and 3 with like double digit records. Like you have to consider like it's a thick I'm imagining that this NFC is just gonna be gross. Like you're just gonna be like, wow, this is just unbelievable. What I'm watching something beautiful. So I had the Eagles at 6. But I honestly think that's why I said if they're a lower seed wildcard team that they can make some noise. And then at 5, I have the Green Bay Packers. Number 4, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then number 3, I have the Los Angeles Rams. I have the Lions at number 2, with the Commanders finishing in first in the conference this season. So I really think that if the Eagles are competing with the Commanders, I think what's going to end up throwing them off is if they're like, 2 or 3 wins behind or whatever the Commanders end up finishing. I think that's why it's going to push them down a little bit because I think the Packers are going to be – I really think that this is going to be a very interesting possible season where I honestly think that the Eagles could probably finish in 5th, probably not 6th. I'm just going to roll with 6 for now. I don't want any Eagles fans to come at my throat. I don't think that the Eagles are bad. I don't think that they're actually a deserving of a 6th place wild card. I actually think that 5 or 6, being Green Bay or the Philadelphia Eagles, could probably go on to the divisional or NFC championship if they stay hot. I mean, you look at the Eagles going up against the Rams. That's the only team that they struggled with, but they were able to beat them. And then the Packers have to go to Tampa, which once again, Tampa Bay is a kind of a sneaky, very good team, but so is Green Bay. It could be easy upsets for them, easy money going in. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna jump the gun here yet. I think the NFC is very interesting to watch. Not that the AFC isn't, but I think that the NFC could have some mystery players, some mystery teams making it in, whereas the AFC, I feel like that's pretty cut and dry.
All right. So those are our picks for the year. Chus, do you have anything else you'd like to add that you haven't
Nope,
said in this hour and a half?
no, I ranted at the beginning and I finished off my predictions to finalize today's show. So it makes up for missing out last week, I guess. So
Okay. Hour and a half. Thank you for sticking with us. If you're still here, I'm going to break these up and put them on YouTube in shorter clips. But we appreciate you sticking with us for this entire show. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know your picks down below in the comments section. Be nice to each other. Make sure you check out the merch as well. We have had some people purchase some merch, so I appreciate all of you. That support goes a long way. And until next time, go do something nice for someone.